Hi, Professor Wainaina here, your 5 minutes teacher on education, childhood, youth, parenting, and all things school. Welcome. When we talk of natural consequences for your child's actions, we are talking about letting life's natural response mechanisms shape your child's learning journey. Every action in life has an impact, a result that follows. If your child neglects homework, for example, their grades are reflected. If they are rude to friends, they feel the sting of losing them or even getting isolated. These natural consequences are silent yet powerful teachers that show children the direct outcomes of their actions. But when a parent actively seeks to impose an appropriate consequence, it's no longer nature at work, but an imposed punishment, a manufactured response that undermines rather than promotes meaningful learning. One of the most valuable lessons children can receive is to recognize and anticipate the natural consequences of their choices. Research underscores that experiencing these outcomes without interference helps children develop intrinsic motivation and responsibility. When a parent intervenes with an external punishment, the focus shifts from the action's inherent outcome to appeasing the parent's authority. In other words, the child learns to avoid upsetting you rather than understanding the true impact of their choices. This redirection creates a skewed sense of accountability where your child's actions revolve around avoiding punitive responses rather than forming an authentic moral compass. Often, punishment is chosen when a parent doesn't trust natural consequences to be enough or to come fast enough. This lack of trust, though natural, often emerges from the parent's own impatience or need for control rather than the child's genuine developmental need. After all, life has no shortage of meaningful, inevitable outcomes to our actions. Take forgetting a school project, for instance. Rather than intervening with added punishment, letting a child experience a poor grade or the discomfort of disappointing their teacher will often do far more in instilling responsibility. Such experiences are realistic, unavoidable, and untainted by parental interference. Interestingly, punishment frequently crops up when a child's actions are too trivial to carry any serious natural consequences. If your child, for example, leaves a toy outside, what really follows? Likely nothing, except perhaps a bit of clutter, and certainly nothing as shattering to their development. Yet, many parents reach for punitive measures to make a point. In these cases, punishment does little more than magnify a trivial issue into something significant, creating a scenario where your child is chastised not because their behavior had any real impact, but simply because it disrupted your sense of order. The lesson they learn is less about tidiness or responsibility and more about your need for control. Research in the developmental psychology suggests that natural consequences are more effective in building resilience and self-regulation because they mimic real-world scenarios in which authority figures are absent. For example, the psychologist Alfie Kohn argues that true learning happens when children are left to make and experience the natural outcomes of their own choices. By relying on natural consequences, parents set the stage for children to develop a relationship with their actions that is grounded in reality rather than in appeasing authority. This approach also reinforces a sense of personal agency, allowing children to see that their choices have real weight, a critical foundation for self-regulation in adulthood. So, if you find yourself calculating an appropriate consequence, step back and examine the intent. Are you trying to teach through an outcome that already exists, or are you stepping in because the situation lacks a convenient lesson for your child to learn? If it's the latter, recognize that life's significant lessons rarely require a heavy hand. They emerge naturally and without artificial interference, which is precisely what makes them meaningful. So, before you intervene, remember, life doesn't pull any punches. Let it take the lead. Artificially crafting consequences and punishments only teaches children to fear you, not to respect the true nature of their choices. Let your children experience the natural consequences of their actions, not artificial punishments from you. After all, the world has a way of speaking louder than your punishment ever could. Thank you for your time. See you in the next one.